first thing that we're going to review is the stem length for any note that has a stem. So we'll use half notes here. Make sure that your stems go 3.5 lines or spaces. So if you're writing a space note, you're going 1, 2, 3.5 spaces. If you're writing a line note, then it's going to be 1, 2, 3.5 lines. If the note is written below the third line, you're going to want the stem to go up on the right, just like you see here. If the note is written above the third line, you'll want it to come down on the left. The same 1, 2, 3.5 spaces, or 1, 2, 3.5 lines. Just the same as last level. Just make sure that you continue to do all of that. Next thing that we'll review is placing accidentals on the staff. So remember that when you add a sharp or a flat or a natural to a note, the box in the middle of the sharp or the round part in the middle of the flat or the square inside the natural sign has to go on the same line or space as the note that you want it to affect. And that makes sure that we're really clear about what we want. We know that this is an E natural and it doesn't affect the D over here. Last thing is placement of dots. Okay, so if you have a dotted note in a space, your dot goes in the space to the right, just like this, and like this. If you have a line note instead, your dot is going to go a little higher in the space. So don't write your dots on the line because we won't be able to see them. Same thing for a dotted note on a line. So that's our review of notation, what you learned from the last level. As far as notes go, the last thing that we have to do then is the notation of rests. So remember that your eighth rests begin in the third space and curl down, and your 16th rests are in the middle two spaces, not on the top and not on the bottom. All right? Last concept that we have to review from last time is a little bit different. It's the concept of enharmonic equivalence. So two notes that are the same sound, right, but spelled differently. So if I put a treble clef in here, then we can see that we have F sharp here, G flat here. These two notes are enharmonically equivalent. If we play them on the piano, F sharp, G flat, they sound exactly the same. There are lots of situations later on where we'll see why we want to use an F sharp and why we want to use a G flat. But for right now, all you need to know is that these two pitches are enharmonically equivalent. Okay, it's just a fancy way of saying that they're the same pitch spelled in two different ways. On to the new material for level 6 in notation. There's not a lot for you to do. We have a new note value that you need to know, which is adding a dot to a 16th note. So if we take a standard 16th note, say like this one, we add a dot to it. Just like any other augmentation dot that we use, it adds half the value to the note. So what we need to be able to do is add half of a 16th note. So just like in all the other ones, half of a 16th note, you have to divide that note into two pieces. You'll end up with a 32nd note, and that's our other new value. 32nd notes are notated just like 16th notes, but with 3 flags instead of 2. So we have dotted 16th notes and 32nd notes. We also will have a 32nd rest, and the 32nd rest we'll put here. 32nd rests are like 16th rests, except that they need to occupy the top 3 spaces. Okay? So those are the new notes and new note values for for this level. We have a 30-second rest, we have a 30-second note, and we have this dotted 16th note. Okay? You'll have a chance to practice some of those in the exercises.